we're just reaching out for a little bit more MPG, maybe even a couple of more HPs with our stock 318 two barrel. And this is what we're working with at the moment. We're going to go ahead and get started. I hope you meet me back in here and we can discuss this. Welcome back to project trying to add a little mile per gallon and horsepower to this 77 Dodge van. This will be part 2. If you missed part 1, I'll post it up here or something. There. Here's our first surprise. Heads have been off before. That's not a factory tin gasket. Almost looks like it could be a Victor or something, but anyways, pulled all the plugs out. They actually look pretty good. And we're just going over it with a drill and a brush, getting it clean to handle, not clean to assemble. But I already did this surface, and now we're gonna hit the bottom, and we actually did some on this side too. Just so I can bring them in the house and we can disassemble them in the air conditioning. I'll continue on. Fella can take a clean hand and touch on it and stay fairly clean. Just brake cleaner is all I'm using. Now I can take it into the air conditioning. Maybe get a glass of lemonade or Diet Pepsi or something. Sounds good to me. Thanks for joining us back in here. A lot of times when people think of gas mileage and power, you know, they think of carburetor, timing, and all of that's important, camshaft. But for any engine out there, whether it be a performance engine or a complete stock engine like ours, to me, my opinion, the head is the most important component. The valves have to seal, they have to work, and if you got bad heads, I don't care what your cam or carb is, you're going to have poor performance, and you're also going to have poor fuel mileage. I'm not saying that's the case with these heads. I don't think that at all, but I do think that we have a chance to improve and a little bit of opportunity. So we're going to look at what my thought process is, my opinion. This is new to me. Usually when people work with heads, they're thinking flow at 400. They're thinking that sort of thing, right? Getting more in and all of that. In my case, the stock 318 cam don't even have 400 lift. And by the time you lose some lift in the poor rocker, the factory rocker assembly, in the geometry of it, we'll be lucky if we have 370 lift. So what this head will flow at 400 is right out the door. So we're thinking in our minds, we're thinking of lift from, 100 thousandths to 350 thousandths. And we're thinking, flow from 800 RPMs to 3,200 RPMs is most important, because that's where this is going to spend most of its life. As a matter of fact, this van's very race with Hoosier Garage. Maybe this van's only race ever while we own it. This van really doesn't live up on the high RPMs, so there's really no need for us to focus on how this head will flow at 500 lift or 600 lift at 6,000 RPMs. It ain't ever going to see it, guys, gals. Let me show you what we got going on. let's get started with what I bought, what my plan is. So what we bought for these heads, first of all, these valve springs, they're the green ones, they're original. So we're probably looking at, well, the van's a 77, so there's 45 years of, 45-year-old spring. They'll probably go another 25, 30 years. But while we have it apart, I bought these from Engine Tech. They're made in USA. Got the damper in them. Some people call these a 2-in-1, but it's really a spring and a damper. And these I bought from Rock Auto for a 340. These are a 340 replacement valve spring. So we're gonna run them on here. Get this, guys. This valve spring from Engine Tech through Rock Auto was cheaper than any other set I could have bought for this head. I think these were $30 for 16 of them plus shipping. Really? $30 for 16 valve springs that are rated for 340 replacement with a damper inside? That reminds me of 1985. And also, I bought these Melling exhaust valves. My experience is always been that the intakes are pretty much usable. It's the exhaust valves that take a pounding. So what we have here is brand new exhaust valves, 150, and we're sticking with the stock factory 178 intake valves. I have checked, and I checked one head, and the valves are sealing. So it's not like I found two leaky valves that I can, really gonna up the power and gas mileage from that. And I'm not surprised because the van ran really smooth, and I thought it performed adequate for what it was. There's really no such thing as a driver's head or passenger head or left or right. There's just one head, one casting. You can put them on either side. But this came off the driver's side. I'm going to keep it on that side. So this right here would be the number 1 cylinder. So I'm just going to go like this. 1, 2, even though I know this would be 1, 3, 5. I know. But just for this head, this is how I'm doing it. And then we'll pop the valves out. So for the intake ports, we're not going to do much, or the exhaust, but right here where the valve cover bolt goes in, it's pretty calm on a 318 head. It's a little bit more extrusive on a 360 head or a 340 head, but there is still a bump here. I'm just going to remove that bump. I'm trying to keep velocity up, but turbulence down. That's all my point is. I want velocity up, turbulence down. Really all I do is put a vacuum cleaner hose on this side of the port to suck up all the grindings. We're going to wash the heads anyway, but it keeps it out of your eyes and nose. And then I'll just kind of do something like this. The burr there. I don't want a burr, that's turbulence. So I just removed that burr. Try to show you with this flashlight if I possibly can, that we have knocked down a lot of that. I'm going to work just a little bit more on it and it's done. And that's all I'm going to really do to the opening ports. Maybe dull the edge here just a little bit, and that's it. Now we got the vacuum hose on the opposite side of the port, and I'm just going to dull this right here. The actual, I don't have a pointer. Let me use this. Right here, the top of the guide, I'm going to dull that down. And again, I'm not looking to create a bunch of volume and slow things up. I want the velocity, the speed. I want the atomization. I just don't want turbulence, and I'm going to allow it to have an opportunity to get inside the cylinder. So not going to do really much of anything right here, just dull that. And that's really all I'm doing to the intakes on this. And then right in here there was some burrs that you could feel like flash. I got that out of there. And then I just dulled here. I really didn't remove material, I just dulled the edges. And if you look at this side, you can see the difference on that valve guide. And along the edges and the sharp, and you can see flashing and stuff in there. And you look at this side, and it just smoothed it out the edges. That's all I did. I didn't bull hog, I didn't open up the throat, I didn't do any of that. Okay, that's the intake. That's all I'm doing to the intake side. Now on this exhaust, all I'm going to do on the exhaust is just dull this ring around the inside here underneath the seat. That's it. Nothing else. So we finished this entire head. It took about an easy hour, maybe a little less, but about an hour. And we did all the work we're going to do with the Dremel. So that's all I really wanted to do, was just remove burrs and castings and what I showed you. What's next? What's next is these got to go to the machine shop, because the head gasket will be thicker. The ones we're using will be thicker than the factory tins. Even though the tins weren't on here, we're going to cut the difference off. So we're not adding compression, trying to maintain what it would have been with the factory tin gaskets. So if I'm going to use the, say, the Felpro, what is it, 553, 83, 53, whatever, it's 50 thousandths thick. I'm going to probably cut 30 thousandths off then, and that way it brings it back down to, it's like using a 20 thousandths thick head gasket. That would be about like the factory tins. So that's what we're really going to try to do, is maintain that. Also, the valve guides seemed okay, especially on the intake side. This is some of what we were looking at. A lot of carbon buildup. I would say that these heads were pulled because somebody wanted to put umbrella sills in, valve sills in, and because none of these were broken, they should have been at this age of car. So I didn't find any signs of anything else that they tampered with or would have done. We'll probably have a 3-angle valve job done, and have the heads cut and bring them back, and well, pretty much it. Now we're just going to follow that exact same process with the second head. See ya.